Hello and welcome back to the Trademark Sports YouTube channel. Today we're talking about the weakness from every single club heading into the 2025 NRL season. Now we're going to do this one today. We're going to be working our way up from the bottom of last year's ladder, going up to towards the big dogs from last year. If you're enjoying the content coming out at the moment, make sure you like and subscribe. Plenty more content coming out for the 2025 NRL season, so make sure you don't miss out on any of that. Now, first up, straight away, we're going to talk about the West Tigers. The weakness for me, I think, heading into 2025 is the fact that they have a losing mentality around the club, because 3 wooden spoons in a row is going to be it's going to be a detriment to the mental aspect and the psyche of the West Tigers heading into 2025. Yes, they've brought in guys like your Taruvas, your Luais, who have won comps in the last couple of years and have that bit more of that sort of killer mentality. However, for these other guys, the core, they're still at the Tigers. They're pretty used to losing, and it's going to be pretty heads down stuff when things don't go right for them in 2025, and understandably so, right? Like, this is a culture and a mentality. It's going to take a couple of years to break through there. So, yeah, for me, I guess for the Tigers, you just, to quote our good friend Bloke in a Bar, you just got to stay patient. Things will change, things will come good, but yeah, 2025, I think they're going to start pushing for the top 8, but I think you're looking towards 2027, 26, 27, that sort of stuff before making the finals. Then we go over to the South Sydney Rabbitohs. For me, looking just from outside looking in, the thing I felt they're going to struggle with the most is chemistry. They've brought in a lot of moving pieces, bringing in Wayne Bennett, who's going to have to set up the club culture and mentality of how they want to play their football. Bringing in guys like Josh Schuster, who are on the last life of their career. Bringing in Lewis Dodd, so seemingly a new halves partner, new spine combinations. Mamazul is probably going to be the starting 9. Jamie Humphries as well. Got to click in, sort of get up to speed with a new style of play. Sort of thing. Cameron Murray being out for a little while throughout the season. Guys coming back from injury. Your Campbell Grahams, Tyron Munros of the world. I just think, I do think the Rabbitohs will go a lot better than they did last year. I can just see the chemistry, things clicking. They might have a slow start at the season, then build up. That's just my opinion. Then we go over to the Eels. My weakness for them is going to be their forward pack. Their backline. I mean, their halves pairing is probably one of, if not the best in the comp. They've made some pretty good astute signings in the outside backs, your Lomaxes, your Addo-Cars, Ayongi, Papali, that sort of thing. But the forwards for me is if they have a couple of injuries, they're kind of scraping the barrel. They've lost Regan Campbell-Gillard, haven't really brought anyone in of note. Obviously, they've re-signed a lot of guys there. I suppose they've brought in Jack Williams, which helps the back row stocks. But yeah, for me, their middle forwards, if one of the two of them go down, which is very likely because it's NRL season, you're gonna have injuries. They could have been a little bit of strife. Then we go to the Gold Coast Titans. This is a weakness, but also kind of a strength in a way. But as they still haven't figured out what their spine's going to be. You've got there's always the problem of AJ Brimson, Jaden Campbell, rather, not Campbell Graham, Keanu Kinney going for the fullback spot, and one of them is going to have to play 6, which is fair enough. But then now you've got Carter Gordon coming into the frame, whether he's going to be a 6. So how do you balance that balancing act? And they can't chop and change and switch, and this is going to be the same problem for another team later in the video as well. But just there's no continuity, there's no consistency, there's no how we're going to play, who's playing, that sort of thing. And I understand the halves pairings are going to change throughout the season because you've got to have injuries. There's guys playing rep footy. All those sort of things do come into consideration and are a factor. But I think you can't have a guy playing 3 weeks and then you drop him out, that sort of thing. I think it just sort of mucks around the consistency and the flow of the whole team for the Titans, and it can be a little bit of an undoing sometimes. Then we go to the Warriors, and I've got their halves depth. I know that sounds funny because you've got Chanel Harris-Tavita, Tamade Martin, Luke Metcalf there as well as Tanner Boyd coming into the club, and Jet Cleary as well, who I think is still very raw and needs a couple of years before he even is in the frame for playing NRL. But I think when you look at Tamade Martin, Chanel Harris-Tavita and Luke Metcalf, they're all sort of more suited to playing 6. Then Tanner Boyd's probably the only out and out 7, I think anyway, at the club there. So if something happens to him, then you sort of, I don't know. Just for me, I think I look at that and I sort of I'm not blown away. There's no real game manager jumping out at me there apart from Tanner Boyd, who has had his teething issues in the NRL up to this point. Moving on, we go to the Broncos. Now, for me, obviously, Michael Maguire has been brought in to fix this, but we saw last year their mentality wasn't really up to scratch. They don't have that killer instinct anymore like they did in 2023, where they were the second best team in the comp all year. They believed that they were better than everyone else. And then they had that sort of second year blip, and just a lot of their superstar players, their mentality has been brought into question. Ben Hunt coming in to an extent can fix that. I think he's very fair weather sometimes. Coming from a Dragons fan, had to watch him play for the last 7 years. But yeah, as I said, like Michael Maguire's coming to fix that, so it might not be that much of a weakness anymore. They've got great depth all around, I suppose. Their halves depth can be coming into question a little bit if Ezra Mann's not going to play, because then you've got Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds there who are both 35. Then who's there? And you're going straight to like a Josh Rogers, who respectful, like he's not a bad backup, but no team is getting, like there's no fear being struck into any other teams when Josh Rogers is picked for the Broncos. We'll just say that. Then we go on to my boys, the Dragons, and it's just depth. I think in saying that, they've brought in some really good depth signings in a way that they've pushed other guys back down the pecking order, which then therefore creates better depth around the club. But for example, if there's a couple injuries to the forwards, Jack de Belin gets injured, Jaime Saleh gets injured, which he has throughout his career. Francis Molo gets suspended, which again he has throughout his career. Who's the next guy up? There's a lot of really, really good young forwards at the Dragons, but they are young forwards. Some of them this year are ready to have a crack and have a couple of games in first grade, namely like Dylan Egan's, Hamish Stewart's, Lockhart Pacifica Tonga. However, they're not ready for a full season of first grade yet. Obviously, the Cowstrom boys are probably going to be like due for some more minutes this year, but I see some concerns. Even if one of the halves go down, then there's like some issues there. One of the outside, if Val Holmes gets injured then the outside back stocks look a little bit thin. So I guess that's just my main concern. Like going from 2024 to 2025, the 1 to 17 is a lot stronger and a better side. However, if there's some injuries, mishaps, suspensions, rep footy and that sort of thing, then things get a little bit dicey there. Then we go over to the Dolphins, and the weakness is just like Wayne Bennett's left. If you look at throughout history, the clubs that Wayne Bennett has left, historically they've struggled. The Broncos haven't won a comp in nearly 20 years, 18 years now, and they were winning comps for fun when Wayne Bennett was there. The Dragons, I think they made the finals 2 times since Wayne Bennett left. The Knights are only just sort of coming back to life after Wayne Bennett left, and Souths needed to get Wayne Bennett back in to fix what happened after Wayne Bennett left. So the Dolphins, I mean, they could sort of break that trend because Christian Wolf has had a lot to say over the last 2 years since the Dolphins have been in the squad. There's a lot of Tongan guys there who coaches throughout the off-season and that sort of thing. So I think that like they are set up a little bit better for life after Wayne, because that was the plan the whole time with the Dolphins. But still, it's definitely something to watch and keep an eye on if you're a Dolphins fan. And moving over to the Raiders, I think it's just the inexperience in the spine is the weakness for me. Ethan Strange was great in his rookie season. However, second season syndrome is a massive thing. Chevy Stewart looks like he's probably going to get some more minutes this year. Very young, very raw. Also got Ethan Sanders coming over for as a Jamal Fogarty replacement. I'm sure he'll get some minutes throughout the season at some point. Again, very young, very raw. And your hooker, the hooker spot is sort of just a bit up for debate. You got 3 or 4 guys there who are all sort of the same level, all sort of vying for that spot there. None of them really blow your socks off. Like they've recruited a lot of really good young players, and I think in 5 or 6 years' time, the Raiders are going to be a top 4 team consistently with the round of young talent coming through. It's just whether they're ready for the trials and tribulations of first grade just yet, and if there's injuries, they're going to have to be forced to play a lot more minutes than Ricky Stewart's probably going to want, and that could be an issue come towards the back end of the season. Then we've got the Newcastle Knights. So this is the other team that I was saying, similar to the Gold Coast Titans, is they just have no idea who the halves are going to be. Like they chopped and changed so many times last season. I don't know the exact number of how many different halves combinations they used, but it was a lot. You got Jack Cogger, Tyson Gamble, Jackson Hastings, Will Price, Kalen Ponga played some time in the halves. Phoenix Crossland ended up being the halfback towards the end of the season. Like, what's going on? That's 6 guys there. And this is the issue, is that they're all kind of the same level. It's not like one doesn't just stick out that's better than the other. So personally, for me, I'd probably start the year with Jack Cogger at 7, then maybe, I guess, Tyson Gamble at 6. If Will Price is better defensively this year, you can play him at 6. But this is the issue, right? Nothing's really standing out. Maybe Jackson Hastings is like a 13 or something. Like, he's a big body. Actually, I think Jackson Hastings probably be a great 14, can play some dummy half, can cover some stuff in the forwards. If a hole in the halves gets injured, he can slot in there. But yeah, like the issue being the halves isn't in terms of saying like that they're not up to NRL standard, they're not great. It's just like, who do you pick? And Adam O'Brien has no idea. The players have no idea who's going to be there. And I think that's the issue there. It's chopping and changing, no consistency, no like letting players develop and work themselves into some form, that sort of thing. Combinations developing and whatnot. It's just, yeah, it's not like not the worst situation to be in, but it's not the best either. Then we go over to Manly. The forwards depth for me is the issue there. I know they brought in Tokeaho as well as just Tavanga. Again, like these 1 year deals, bringing in the old guys and stuff. It's not a bad idea, but again, these guys, like, we got no idea how Tokeaho is going to play. He failed some medicals and stuff at other clubs, so his body could come into question a little bit, like whether he's going to get injured or whatnot throughout the season. I hope for him and for Manly that doesn't happen, but like I don't know. It's just one of these things that sort of who's the next guys coming up, and sort of can they match it, I guess, with the top team, because their backline can match it with the best in the comp, and it carries them to the finals pretty much every year at the moment. Like Tontra Vojovic, when he's on, he's the best player in the world. There's no denying that. We saw what he did in 2021. Kid can play football, but it's just whether the forwards are up to that sort of same standard. Obviously, you got guys like Taniela Paseka, Ola Kawatu that are developing year in, year out and getting better and better. But Paseka's the kind of guy who he's had a little bit of injury trouble, same as Sipley. And then Ola Kawatu, you're going to miss him for some rep footy and stuff. Who's stepping up? Who's sort of like that next guy to come in to those roles? That's probably the little bit issues I have there with them. Then we got the Bulldogs. Heading into 2025, I'm just a little bit skeptical about some second year syndrome. Now, obviously, they unlocked the way they want to play and the Bulldogs' identity for like in 2024. Teams are going to be doing so much video on them this year, like in this offseason, because they surprise a lot of sides. Roster-wise, not that much change, so you'd imagine that the way they play football isn't going to change all too much. So teams are going to plan for a lot more this coming into this year. So everyone is pretty much going to have to take a level up in their game and evolve and develop and come up with new and fresh ideas to play, which I'm sure Cameron Serrato and the Bulldogs coaching staff are going to do. But I'm just a little bit worried that there could be some chinks in the armor that get exposed heading into the 2025 season. Obviously, they've got a lot of workhorses and that sort of thing, and like a lot of the one percenters and the fundamentals of rugby league are covered well by the Bulldogs, so they probably should be fine. But that's just the concern that I see. Like the fact that I'm saying that second year syndrome is the weakness for the Bulldogs in 2025 is a massive testament to them as a squad and a rugby league football club. Then we go to the Cowboys, and I've got lots of experience, particularly in the outside backs, losing Kyle Felt and Valentine Holmes, which is like 450 games of NRL experience. Then you're bringing in, you're trusting the rookies, which they look like they're going to be absolute guns up there in North Queensland. You've also got like an aging four pack in terms of Jordan McLean and Jason Taumalolo. And again, there's a lot of really good youngsters coming through, but are they ready just yet to get those first grade minutes? I'm not so sure. I feel like the Cowboys could be a team that falls off just a little bit this year, just with that. And like even I saw Todd Payton come out during the week and saying like the halfback spot's a 3-horse race. Surely Jake Clifford is your number one there. I know Jackson Purdue and Thomas Duffy are very good rugby league footballers, but Jake Clifford has just got the experience. He's got to be there for round one, in my opinion. Then we go to the Roosters, who their weakness is a loss of experience. Joseph Swali'i, Joey Manu, Joey Hargraves. Who else do they lose? I mean, Sam Walker's injured, Brandon Smith's injured for half the season, Luke Keary is gone. That's a lot of first grade games out the door. This year could be trouble for the Sydney Roosters. Obviously, still got 8 or 9 rep players on the roster, and it's still a team that can compete with a lot of teams on the roster. But your starting spine's gonna be Tedesco, Sandon Smith, Chad Townsend, and Connor Watson, which I suppose on the face of it isn't too bad. But one of those guys goes down, then oh my goodness, they are in trouble. And then the back line, you're trusting guys like Robert Toya, Billy Smith, Mark Nawanga, so those two are quite injury prone. They've got Mark Nawanga Nitawase, who is just inexperienced in the NRL. You're relying a lot on him just to hit the ground running in his first full season. So we'll see how they go. You can never really write off the Roosters, but I think top 8 could be out of the picture this year. The Cronulla Sharks. My weakness for them this year is the expectation on their shoulders. Now, they obviously got to a prelim last year. They shook the curse last year in terms of finals wins. They got rid of that, the monkey off the back for that. However, now they strengthen again. They all have that sort of confidence in the finals. Adam Fanua-Blake's there to lead the 4-pack. There's no, now for them, unless they make a prelim, it's a failure of a season. Honestly, probably even a grand final, to be honest, with how the Sharks have been building and it's sort of probably their last go at doing that with this roster. So for me, that the weight of expectation could be their weakness and their undoing, because it has been in the past. So whether they can overcome that, especially Nico Hines, who we've seen so far in his career, bullshit for him in the big moments, can sort of falter a little bit. So hopefully for them in 2025 that isn't the case, but for me, expectation and the weight of that is the weakness for the Cronulla Sharks. Then we go over to Melbourne Storm. I can't find one, if I'm completely honest. The one weakness you could probably say for the last couple of years is they haven't had that extra big bopper and that grunt in the forward pack. Now they got Stefano, who, if he hits the ground running at the Storm, is exactly that. Like, and then even you can go, oh, okay, well they got injury-prone stars in the spine. Okay, Pappenhausen's out, then you got Suafolongo coming in. Munster, Hughes, or Grant is out, and you can bring Wishart in. Like, it's honestly ridiculous. Jonah Pezzett will be back from injury this year as well to cover the spine. Yeah, it's nuts. I do think the Storm will win the premiership in 2025. Then we go to the Panthers, where the weakness is just how they're going to adjust to life after Jerome Luai, who has played with Nathan Cleary for Nathan Cleary's whole rugby league life, as well as losing James Fisher-Harris, the forward pack leader. Obviously, Blaise Taulagi has been brought in, and there is so many raps on him. And look, in that Panthers system, no doubting that he might come out and be one of the comp's top 5'8" straight away from round one. You've also got Isaiah Papali'i, who, when we've seen him in a good system, the Eels, Dally M, quality player in terms of his position. Can he do that at the Panthers? Absolutely. I've got no doubt that the Panthers have a great plan for both of those guys, but they're also still, at this very moment anyway, not Luai and James Fisher-Harris. Like, Blaise Taulagi, while he has the potential probably to exceed what Jerome Luai is doing at the moment, he's not there just yet. So I'm sort of a little bit worried about that. Like, not worried in a sense, but like, it could just take a little while for it to gel and hiccup. Like, I don't think the Panthers are as strong as they have been over the last 4 or 5 seasons, which is exciting for the comp. However, I do feel like it's probably going to still be another Storm Panthers grand final, another a repeat of that. But yeah, there's definitely some chinks in the armor there for the Panthers this year. And as well, it's going to be interesting to see how Cleary plays without Luai there as his right-hand man, because we've seen Luai be able to do it without Cleary. We haven't seen it the other way around. Anyway, that's my weaknesses for every club going into the 2025 NRL season. Let me know what you guys think about that. If you think that I got it wrong for your team, let me know in the comments. If you think I got it right, awesome. Leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Subscribe to the channel for more content. Remember to always Scotty drink your water, and Bradman, do your best. Cheers.